Haley, welcome to India today. I want to begin by asking you, do you remember the first time you heard the title music of Mission Impossible, that earworm of a track, the title track? And what was your reaction like? Because it doesn't leave you for days, right? The first time you hear it.
I can't remember the first time because I feel like it's always been there in the cultural conscience. It's been something obviously that's been beloved since I think the 70s. And so when, Tom decided that he'd take on this franchise back in the early 90s, he's taking on something that's so iconic. And every time I hear it, I feel like I'm gearing up to doing something pretty exciting.
Do you have your earliest memory of a Tom Cruise film? Because all of us have, right? And sort of the franchise has made us grow up with that. I've been of different ages in my life coming up to this film.
I think he's always been in my mind a permanent fixture. He was already a hugely established star when I was born, and his range from things like Born on the 4th of July and Risky Business and Jerry Maguire and Magnolia and A Few Good Men, Color of Money. There is such range in Tom, and seeing him do comedic things like in Tropic Thunder and playing Stacey Jacks. I think it's, they don't make them like Tom Cruise, and I don't think there will ever be anyone like him.
I want that framed on my wall. I think that's the line for like forever. In the final reckoning, is there something that you did that sort of opened up a box in your mind and you were like, wow, I could do this? Maybe physically or mentally, you put yourself in a place where you couldn't imagine. And then that sort of shocked you that, oh, I could do this.
I was, I was sort of, I was really taken and surprised by how much my body and my mind seem to love working in the Arctic Circle. That kind of cold is not for everyone. I don't do well in the heat. I go to sleep. I get very irritable. I need to find a cool space to lie down. I don't like heat, but I love the cold. And so working in minus 40 degrees and having a set that's interrupted by a polar bear walking past is, something that was just, you could never plan for or prepare for what that's like. It was so beautiful. And I felt being in that cold, it's very invigorating. So I felt very awake. And I think, the crew, certainly the cast and the crew knew that I had found my place. They not everyone loved it, but they could tell that I was having an absolute ball. And even Tom could see it. He's like, I can really see that you've blossomed up here in the Arctic Circle. I was ready to go. I was on that dog sled, and I was just in these layers, and we did lots of stunts that don't make the movie because the movie's so vast and epic. But there was so much that I did physically in the Arctic, and it's just because my body was kind of trained and ready to do it, and it clearly loved the environment.
Are you an actor who likes to collect something from set? Maybe it's a prop or maybe a piece of clothing to sort of have a memory by?
Well, my character's a thief, and I ended up taking that quite seriously and quite literally. So by the end of the film, I'd stolen quite a lot of things from set. I stole a salt and pepper shaker from the Orient Express, an ashtray, a watch, a necklace, some documents, a fossil, some fake glass, a key, a poison pill. I forgot, I've got a pair of Tom's socks and one of his jumpers, because I needed some extra layers in the Arctic. And so I was in the costume department and I put these on, and I didn't realize later it was like part of his supply of clothing. And then also at dinner the couple of nights ago here in London, I stole his hot sauce at the restaurant and I put it in my bag. So I'm sort of taking this whole kind of thief role very, very literally.
I don't think anybody else has, and I love the fact that we need to give a disclaimer here before we run this. But Haley, just to sort of wrap this up, what was the last day on set like, and how does one wrap a film like this? It's so emotionally, it sort of takes a part of you, doesn't it?
I didn't feel the weight of finishing it really until I saw it for the first time in front of a huge audience in Japan on a big screen. These films are they're designed to be seen on a big screen. They were filmed with IMAX cameras, And it was, that was a moment watching it where it felt like the accumulation of 5 years of my working life and the friendships I'd made and the emotion of the film brought back all these memories of how close we had become and what we'd all been through and what we'd seen Tom achieve as an extraordinary stunt person, but also as a producer. That felt just very emotional to me. The last day on set, I remember Tom saying, you know, movies is not something I do, it's who I am. And I saw that every single day of working with him. It's what he has dedicated his life to, which is entertaining the audience.
What a fantastic line to have. And thank you so much for The Final Reckoning. It's one of my absolute favorite films in the franchise. Can't wait for the world to watch it.
Thank you.